Hi, friends. Today I'll be reading from this book, Devotional Classics. It's really wonderful. It has many different writings from different Christian authors, and I may have shared this before, but please forgive me. I can't help it. This one reading by George Buttrick is fantastic. It's all about a simple regimen for private prayer. And he wrote this in the early 1900s, but it still applies. This is just beautiful. And I was thinking about this as we do our pastoral prayer, prayer of intercession, and Thanksgiving on Sundays. And we have this moment of silence. And just as a side note, I love that moment. I just feel the prayers from everyone just lift in the room. It is so powerful to me. So thank you all for joining me as we do that each Sunday. But I thought about that, the idea of intercession. What are we praying for? Who are we praying for? And what are some thoughts about that? I'm just going to read briefly these few paragraphs. And I think they really just sit on your heart so well. Okay, so this section's called Love Sees Faces. This is a part of his whole regimen, right? So there's many different parts: Thanksgiving, confession, and now we're reaching intercession, right? Then may follow a prayer of intercession, without which the most earnest prayer might sink into selfishness. The Lord's Prayer, in almost every phrase, keeps us mindful of our neighbors, our Father, our daily bread, our trespasses. Private intercession should be specific. We humbly beseech, this is so sweet, we humbly beseech thee for all sorts and conditions of all people. This is an appropriate phrase in a collect, meaning a collective prayer, which, as the very word indicates, draws all worshipers into one act of devotion. That's what we do every Sunday, and provides a form into which each worshiper may pour his secret prayer, but it is out of a place of individual petition. Right? So it's together and individual at the same time. He says, genuine love sees faces, not a mass. The good shepherd calls his own sheep by name, he says. Intercession must be specific. It is pondered. It requires us to bear on our heart the burden of those for whom we pray. So he's saying it needs to be specific, personal, right? Then he goes on to say, but whose name shall come first? Perhaps the name of our enemies. The injunction of Jesus is plain. Pray for them which despitefully use you. He told us that worship is in vain if we are embittered, that we should be wise to leave our gift before the altar, then go and make peace with our neighbor, and then to worship. Only then can we truly worship. So the first intercession must be, I've actually used this in worship because I just love it so much when we do this prayer. Bless so-and-so, whom I foolishly regard as an enemy. Bless so-and-so whom I have wronged. Keep them in thy favor and banish my bitterness. Intercession also names the leaders of mankind in statecraft, in medicine, learning, art, and religion, and the needy of the world, our friends at work or play, and our loved ones. A sense of responsibility may prompt us to prepare, how sweet is this? Prepare a chart of intercession so that day by day we may enter earnestly into the needs of the world and not forget nor fail anyone who closely depends on our prayers. So true intercession is specific and pondered. It is also daring. It carries on its heart and treaty the crisis of the world. Like Thanksgiving, it is not complete without our vow. Sincere prayer in love is never in vain. Wow. Well, I'll take that to heart this week as I enter into prayer, and I hope you do too, especially when we do so at service together. But I think it is such a beautiful thing that he mentions looking at our enemies first. It's kind of an uncomfortable thing to think about. We don't want to think that we have enemies. We'd rather say we're good with everyone. But we have to think about that. And someone who's wronged us or who we've wronged, in order to forgive them from our heart and seek forgiveness from them. So I think it's a very powerful reading. And thanks for joining me. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.